Hey everyone, happy Thanksgiving. If you're waiting for your magnificent turkey to be served, or maybe your bellies are already full and you're just waiting for space to open up for pumpkin pie, I thought today that I would do a little bit something different again and go through the comment section of my last video and see what you guys actually had to say, whether you agree, you would disagree. Like what there was a couple trolls that popped there. I warned them. I said don't be a loser troll, but they just can't help themselves. So I thought that today we'd continue our conversation with that, build off of it, see what you guys think, and then have my reactions to what you guys had to say. All right, so I have the comments section up on my monitor here, and I'll just kind of read them. I didn't want to put a screen up there because then I'd have either the names would be shown or I'd have to go back and scribble out everybody's name. So I thought this would be easier for me to just read what it is. Kind of a little bit of a style of a live stream, only we're just going through it. Back when I was more heavy into gaming, especially when I used to play like Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, I would call it fan mail, and that was where people after the match would write messages and send them to you over the PlayStation Network. So I always called it fan mail. It wasn't always nice. It was, usually wasn't. But I thought this would be a good way for us to continue our conversation and involve you more in the content and what we've been talking about. This just won't be I'm gonna cherry pick all the nice comments. We'll go through some of the disagreements, as it were, and you'll get my raw, honest reactions with that. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so for the comments section, for any of you that have not watched the last video, it was it's titled Why Packaging Matters. And just to give you just a quick brief, so if you don't, I encourage you to go watch that video, but if you just want the brief, Cliff Notes summary of it, in that video, I just highlight that there is I don't want to say it's growing. I just think that it's a small, loud, angry part of the community that for some reason is trying to gatekeep and dictate to us how we collect, what we should be collecting, and attacking us as a community as a whole if we're not falling in line with the way they think the world should operate, which I think is just absurd. Like, you can collect however the hell you want to collect, and that was basically the gist of my video was, you have your standard edition versions and standard edition collectors, that's all they collect. And then there's, another part of the community that really likes to, expand on like what their collection looks like, how they collect, what they collect. There's a lot of different editions out there. There's artwork, there's, different kind of cases, box sets, stuff like that. And so that was basically the gist of my video. Was I was just highlighting of how I like to, for myself, how I like to collect, and how I like to display my collection. And I just wanted to kind of, there were over 90 comments on this video, which is like one of the highest amount of comments that I've had for any of my videos in quite some time. So I thought that this was a really good topic and subject, and I felt like there was more to be said with that, but I didn't want you to just, hear me from the pulpit again. I thought that I would read what you guys had said and what you guys contributed, and then I would give you a little bit more of my reaction to what you have said. So the first comment isn't really a comment. It's more of emojis. So that goes to Last Movie Standing. Just giving me a good, preach kind of icon there. I had another comment here. It says that they couldn't agree more. Even back in the golden days of DVD collecting, I would always hunt down the premium multi-disc editions of my favorite movies. Lots of times those premium releases would have alternate cuts of the film, special features, and yes, better packaging. Many of these films are important and deserve a little extra love and attention. And someone followed up with that and said, I used to do the exact same thing. I myself, I was thinking about this yesterday. You know, I was seeing some of the comments and replying to some of them. And I saw this comment in particular, and I was thinking about myself about when did like special editions or more premium style packaging really start to enter or become mainstream. I myself, just thinking on it, like I'm not going to like, you know, Google and really doing that, but for myself, I don't really remember too many like special elite editions in the 80s and 90s. It was just kind of the packaging. Now there was some stuff like I remember like there was like, you know, it was a little bit more special if you got like the laser disc of like Terminator 2. It had more special features, or it had different things from what like I guess what we would call today like the standard release of like the VHSs and stuff like that. You know, but the packaging, especially in the 80s and 90s, during like the VHS, you know, days, Laserdisc, and then I would say a little bit into the early 2000s, because like I think the last VHS tape was for like mainstream movies like in 2006. So you had even in a little bit to the 2000s, you had some VHS is still coming to market. So during the VHS era, very colorful packaging, good sturdy packaging, artwork. So it was already there. That was really establishing, for physical media anyway, the baseline, the standard of which consumers were accepting, craving for, stuff like that, right? Obviously into the DVD era that got expanded upon. So I would say probably DVD, if I'm thinking about it, is where, and I'm not talking about like there's like just the director's cut type thing or the unrated cut, you know, on a lot of our raunchy comedies that we were getting then. I'm talking about like I remember there was like an Independence Day. There was like the standard DVD, and then there was like the bigger, thicker clamshell that had more discs. You know, it had more content with it. A little bit slightly different packaging that I would say was different from the standard edition. Lord of the Rings, great example of that. There was obviously, I remember when the DVDs came out. For each individual one, there was the theatrical versions, and then they did the directors, you know, what we know as the extended cuts. But those had really nice box set packaging. They looked like leather books, stuff like that. So I think that's the DVD era. If I'm really thinking about it, that's when it started to really become prevalent. And I myself, you know, when I started, obviously I was a lot younger, so I didn't have the money to pony up and buy the higher end, super nice limited edition versions of something. But when I could, I did. So, you know, like, I guess I would be in with you with this comment of when you could get them, you tried to get them. It was a little bit different back then too, of like the early 2000s, because we didn't have online shopping the way we do now. You know, that was still back in the day. I remember when they had remastered and were releasing the Superman Christopher Reeve box set on DVD. There was the standard edition release, which was like, you know, like, it wasn't cardboard. It was just more of a cardstock type box. It was like all, you know, silverish wrapping. And each, I think they were all those flapper cases, if I remember correctly, for that release. But then they also did a special edition, limited edition. I don't know if it was so much limited edition, but it was definitely a more higher end. It wasn't your standard release, but it was a box set back when Superman Returns was coming out. It was a tin case, and it had the Superman logo embossed on it, and it had like 20 something discs on that stuff. So like I had that for sure. So it wasn't like obviously it wasn't every release, but it was definitely, I was with you of like, those movies that really mattered to me the most, I tried to get the nicer editions of that because of the better packaging and the additional stuff that came with that. So thanks for giving your thoughts on that with that comment. I'll move on to the next one that I'm just kind of looking through here. And this one says, I agree that packaging, and I'm just going to read it, folks. Like, I'm not like... I'm just going to read it to you. It says, that way you don't have to, go through it. And I am going to like edit this down for time, because with 93 comments and me reacting to it, that'd be a really, really long video. So, but the next comment I see is, I agree that packaging matters. They just hate the limited edition FOMO. He says, I believe studios should open pre-orders for a specific amount of time. Once the pre-order window closes, studios will know exactly how many units they need to produce. Those who ordered on time will get their copy, as opposed to trying to order a limited edition only to have it canceled because not enough was produced. This sounds like Nightmare on Elm Street stuff right here. It says your box sets are so he's talking about, my box sets are so important because the standard edition is elevated to an extraordinary edition. Well, I thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. That's always my goal with the packaging that I have created for you guys. It says, so yes, packaging does matter, and you offer a way for us standard movie collectors to create our very own custom limited box sets. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Well, thank you so much. And I did respond to you initially. I just said I hate the FOMO as well. Unfortunately, I don't think the FOMO situation is going to be getting any better for the physical media community, just because of the way, and this is, I'll get to this when I get to some of the haterade comments, is those people want it to be the way it was versus the way, read the room of the way things are going. As a whole, physical media is a fraction of what it used to be. Even from a revenue standpoint, there is so much money. I think I'd have to go back and look at my previous video, but it's in there because I did the research then of the cost of physical media. But in that video, I believe like last year, Amazon did like 54, was it? No, it wasn't million. I want to say it was like 54 billion, it was some ungodly number that like made the heyday of DVD 14 billion like a drop in the bucket. So there is a tremendous amount of money, more money that they can make, these studios can make off of streaming. We may, as physical media collectors, doesn't mean we have to like it, but the numbers are there, and that's why they're trying to make that streaming model work, even if it takes them all the way back into a full transformation of cable, which is, we're pretty much almost there. Physical media will grow a little bit, but it's never going to return to what it was. I think the only reason that it will grow in the next 5 to 6 years is because the streaming prices are going up and up and up rather quickly and in large chunks. So more people are going to start to see that they're being priced out. You're going to see churn. You're going to see piracy of content like that. We've already seen that it's been going up. So that's the reality of the situation. I do foresee physical media always being there in some form or fashion. It may not be even as big or prevalent as it is right now, but it will be there. So I do appreciate your nice, kind words on the packaging that I've made. My goal when I decided that I saw that there were more people that wanted this, because when I first started, I just did something creatively for myself. I just couldn't stand how crappy the Indiana Jones white steelbook box set was. And so I decided that I wanted to do something about that. It was after I made it that I thought, hey, maybe other people are in the same boat I am. Maybe they would want that. So that's how that got started. But my goal was always to make sure that it was for the everyman, for us. Like, you know, as much as that small fraction group hates me, that they were always on my mind. Of I didn't want, you know, them to be paying the ridiculous prices that we see for some of these it really they're like called I think they're called one-click boxes is basically the general term for them, where, you know, like you'll pay like $400 for a box set, but it only has like the one film, but it has multiple versions of the film. You get like 3 steel books and some art cards and this, but it's just like for that one film. So if you're like a super lover of a particular film and you wanted multiple copies, like if that's your jam, rock on, man. I am not throwing any judgment card out on there. For me, that isn't the type of collector that I am. But I wanted the everyday, you know, person that loved a film franchise or had bought the films individually and now they have the whole thing and they don't want to double dip and buy another box set. They just needed a box. That's where I came from, and that's what I continue to do. Now there are people in the haterade community that think my pricing is ridiculous. I would argue that it's cheaper than any of those, like, you know, premium Manta Lab, you know, one-click type Bluefins or whatever it is type things. And then also they have no idea the economics of how, you know, the world works when it comes to producing these things and paying for the art, you know, commissioning the artist to, you know, so you got to pay the artist, and then you got to, you have your production costs, you have your shipping costs, you have a lot of costs mixed in there. And then you also have that factor of risk. So, I do appreciate your comments there, and I will continue, as best I can to serve the physical media community. So let's get on to the next comment. Next one up says, great points. Says that's why I had to upgrade some of their packaging. He says that his mom loved the monster movies. You know, I'm assuming you're talking about the Universal Classic Monsters, and putting them in a better box was a homage of her because she passed last November. And also, Back to the Future is one of his favorites, so it had to be upgraded as well. Every time he looks at the monster set, he thinks of his mom, and have been watching them slowly. See, that's what I was. That's beautiful. That's wonderful. I'm so glad and thankful that I was able to do that for you, and you now have that and those memories and those feels, and you have something that will remind you of her and the good times and good feelings. That's what, in my video, I talked about that. That's one of the things that good packaging can do. It's very powerful. And, you know, I don't know if the haterade troll losers, like, just never read the back of a cereal box when they were a kid. They just were like, give me the marshmallows and, you know, in the clear bag, or maybe their mom, you know, dumped it into like a plastic container so they didn't have any like nice colorful packaging to build memories off of, for example. I don't know what their haterade problem is, but I do find it, for me, I find it laughable that they get so upset and so twisted over a subject that, like, no one's forcing them to watch the video. No one's forcing them to buy those kinds of things. So for me, it's extremely laughable of why they just get all twisted up in the pretzel, and then they think that they're like being so like they think they have the upper hand. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't give a shit. So you guys can troll away all you want. All you're doing is helping the channel as far as pushing more content like this video, and also helping other videos go through. So if you've got time in your day to lose your shit and type a paragraph for me, knock yourself out. So but let's move on to the next comment that I see. And this one had 9 replies to it. Oh, and here we go. This is one of those, here we go. Grab your haterade containers. So it says, this is the dumbest video ever put on YouTube. That is a hell of a statement, sir. I don't know. Should I? I don't know whether I should be congratulated or not. That takes quite a feat to be the dumbest video ever put on YouTube. I would argue I've seen some dumber stuff. Like comments like this. But let's see here. It says, pay more attention for things because of the packaging. Exclamation point. Kind of reminds me. Whenever I see people go on the shouting parade, was it a Seinfeld episode where I think Elaine comes home and her boyfriend wrote down messages, but like he didn't use any. It was just a period, like so and so had their baby, period, and she got all upset because of that. But let's continue on. This person wrote quite a bit. Let's enjoy their words here. Let's see if you agree or disagree. First off, I want to make sure that this is all in good fun, and I don't want anybody coming after or being. Please be respectful. Don't play in their sandbox. Like it's not worth it. But I just thought we'd have a little fun, going through the comments, good and bad, and make fun of the losers. So let's see here. So he says, see my cereal boxes in my pantry. What looks better, when my cereal box spines are lined up in a row, or when I have the box art facing forward? You see Toucan Sam? You see Tony the Tiger? Isn't that artwork beautiful and more uniform when they're facing out? I do it because I'm an art collector. Even though this stuff is mass-produced and this art is bought by thousands and thousands of people, it makes me feel special and unique. And then he gets laughing. He's laughing at that. So I hate to break it to you, but not everything, but the majority of what you see, I created. That's my shit. And I can tell you right now, it's not mass produced. So it is special with that. Now, here's the thing. I will, well, let me address that because he wrote a couple paragraphs. So I'll talk about that really quick. So his main gripe is talking about how I have my stuff displayed versus like when I showed the, standard edition side, it's just spines. That was one of the things that I had mentioned was you can't actually properly display a standard edition because it's just a small, either from 11 millimeter to all the way up to like a 15 millimeter, 16. I've seen some cases are like 17 millimeters for like just one release or a multi-disc release kind of thing. That's one of the downsides to standard edition releases is you can't actually display them. They're not made for that. So that's a limitation, and that was one of the things I was trying to highlight with that is that with standard edition releases, and I'm not suggesting that every edition of every movie that you have to have this special edition version of it. I've always, like for myself, I only collect what I like or love, and those films that I love, I give more love and attention and special treatment to, or I pony up and buy like the nicer version of it, like the the Rambo Steelbook box set. I think that's the gold standard when it comes to Steelbook box set releases. Just fantastic art, a lot of time and effort went into that. Really great design, great layout, good display piece, while also holding your actual films that you can pull off the shelf and go watch, pop in the disc. So for me, like the thing is like if you just have the standard edition, if you're just in that standard edition category, again, nothing wrong with it. Totally collect how you want. All you did is collect the movie. Again, nothing wrong with that, but there's nothing further with that. That's why the standard editions are always the cheapest editions. When you go to something like a more deluxe set for something, maybe a franchise or something like that. Again, I don't do the one-click box stuff. There are those out there that do, and that's how they choose to collect. Nothing wrong with that. But for me, when I want to give the love and attention, that elevates that collection, that elevates those films for me, because it catches my eye. It's beautiful artwork to look at, but it also draws me to it and makes me want to revisit those films more often, makes me think about those films more often. Versus when you have the standard edition and you have your spines out. For physical media collectors, we've gone to the stores back when they had physical media, and we looked through the aisles, and and now we're kind of doing that with our own collections for when we have all of our spines out kind of thing. You really have to get up on it, and you have to kind of go through it to pick out the individual titles, and then so you're looking at a lot more before you can decide on maybe what it is that you want to watch. I know sometimes like you just come down and you're like, I want to watch this movie, and you go get it, right? But there's a lot of times where you're especially like if you have a partner or spouse or whatever, and you're like, hey, what do you watch? And they're like, I don't know, kind of thing. You're gonna be like staring at your spines, kind of scanning to see if any particular title, instead of an artwork that can trigger an emotion or a feeling or a memory with that. So it becomes, when you get into this, it becomes more than just the movie. It doesn't wipe out the movie, but it adds to your love of that film. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now, the other thing too, for a great many of us is shelf space. So if you don't have the shelf space, then yeah, you are going to be limited on how you can display your collection. Obviously, like, everybody's different. Everybody's living in a different situation. You have different space that you're working with. You got a budget that you're working with. So that it's there's no one size fits all when it comes to our collections and how we display them. For myself, I do have some space, and but I also, what I did was, and I would recommend people look into shelving that makes better use of the space. So a good example of that is I had two different kinds. I had three different kinds of shelving with prior to switching to these. And these, in case you're wondering, these are the Billy bookshelves at IKEA. Highly recommend them. Really, really good. But I had, in the same footprint, I had three different styles of bookcases. I had two white ones that were kind of displaying my Minas Tirith and my Superman stuff and some of the other collectibles. Then I had two, I don't know, I guess they were about 5 foot tall, wider shelves. Those held primarily my standard edition stuff, and then the top shelf had more collectibles like my Bubo owl from Clash of the Titans and stuff like that. And then I had the Atlantic Ozcar 1080s, and those had those were primarily my display shelves for my book box sets that I really like. So I got rid of all of those, and I went with uniformity of the Billy bookshelves, and it actually takes up less space this way. Like, I have a little bit more space on the wall here and a little bit more space over here on this wall. But these shelves, because they're taller, there's more space. So that is really like, I have a tremendous amount of space just on these two alone. I've got two more shelves down here that I can fill up. I've got that as like just an individual slip box display. So I've got tons of room to grow on that. I've got tons of room to grow on this shelf. I've got room to grow on my standard edition shelves. So that's something that could help people that want to, even if you have standard edition and you want to get creative with it, maybe just like pick out one title a month and have it facing out so you can appreciate it. Maybe you have something that has like really nice artwork on your slipcover or something like that. Although I don't know if I don't know if there are some people that don't even like slipcovers. Totally fine. So, but anyway, says ridiculous, right? What's even more ridiculous is that you made a video basically saying the exact same thing except for different type of packaging, and you did it with a straight face. And he's laughing. Okay, all right. I don't really have a reaction to that. It's just a statement. You watched it, so thanks for watching. It says you packaging nuts. So now it's extending in beyond what it's gone beyond me. Now we're attacking the community because, like, anybody that has a different opinion than you is wrong, right? So it says you packaging nuts are an embarrassment to movie collecting, and make no mistake, and he put that in all caps. I'm glad that he spelled the right version of it. You're in the minority. I would say you're probably wrong, sir. Given that the way, capitalism works, what is being put forth predominantly is what's selling. So the way the market is, it's been adapting to the smaller, the everyday person is streaming. They left physical media, so now it's just it's shrinking down into who the true physical media collector lovers are, and we come in all shapes and sizes and different ways that we like to collect. But they have chosen the way of hate. It says, and like most of the stupidity on social media, just more vocal. I don't know, sir. You're pretty vocal yourself. So he says, so order yourself a pizza and have some fun staring at your shelves, because that's what collecting cinema is all about. And hey, after you've eaten the pizza, hang that box on the wall so you can make another video to show off some more of that packaging art. I may just take you up on that. So, there you go. We see on display their opinion. It's free country. They're welcome to it. It says packaging has, and in all caps, again, they're so passionate. I do admire your passion on the subject matter. I just, I think that we could all, not just you, I think all of us can we can be courteous, we can be understanding, we can express our opinions without being mean or degrading, but hey, whatever. So it says packaging has absolutely nothing to do with the movie. Again, I agree to disagree. It says, and you're not really a movie collector. If I'm not a movie collector, I don't know what is. So I'm not a movie collector. You fall more in line with someone who should be collecting Pokemon cards instead. So now he's attacking the Pokemon card community. It's fantastic. And it says, and you're the one who's wrong, and I don't need to start a YouTube channel to point that out. Okay, all right. Well, I appreciate that you watched the whole video, because that comment was at the end. So I appreciate you tuning in and watching the whole thing and helping me out with the YouTube algorithm. So I would say thanks for watching. Someone replied, and yet you were the first one in line to watch and type the longest comment. I agree. I appreciate you watching. If it's I don't know about you, and I'm talking to everybody, but if there's something that I disagree with, if I'm watching a video and I don't like it, I just turn it off. But I guess that was entertaining and riveting enough that you were able to stay and tune in for the whole 32 minutes. Which there was a couple of you that tried to throw that out there. That I'm like, okay, it's a video. I can make it as long or as short as I need or what I think it should be. But okay. So they were just kind of going back to that. I'm not going to so much read into that, because they were just replying to that person, versus I'm trying to just kind of react to and comment and build off of, our conversation, with what you're asking me. Next comment, I'm seeing, it says, odds are very high that if you collect physical media, you will display some degree of OCD. Behavior. From what I gather, the group that claims to dislike the packaging side of collecting argues that you are OCD and therefore mentally ill if you do like it. That's an interesting take. Okay. It says they would like to argue the difference is negligible, and that people from either camp are equally likely to be OCD. Not that there's anything wrong with being OCD. I embrace it and enjoy it. I would agree, and this just goes into anybody collecting anything. If you're a collector of whatever, even if it's Pokemon cards, doesn't have to be movies. We inherently want some kind of uniformity. We want patterns. to be with that. We all organize differently, you know, like even in our collection, some people organize alphabetically, some people do categories, you know, like, you know, is it a comedy, is it drama, is it action? Some people even alphabetize the sections with that. Yes, I would agree that most every collector on some level has a desire to have organization and uniformity for nothing more than being able to find what they're looking for quicker. And also it is on whether they, especially the standard edition people, whether you realize it or not, it is to be because you like it because it's more aesthetically pleasing. If packaging didn't matter, grocery stores would just be aisle after aisle of blank packaging with just the contents printed on the side. Books would be released without cover art. Lego sets would not have the big, beautiful, colorful images on the pictures of what's inside. It's not just media or retail that it matters. And yes, this is going to be an extreme, and he goes into an example. I'm not gonna go into that part of it, but he says, for those who think that packaging doesn't matter, that's fine. I agree. I think it's totally fine. If you're not into the packaging side of it, no sweat, man. No one's holding a gun to your head to and forcing you to buy it. I always there's a picture. It's like a meme that goes around, and it's like a black and white image, and you see this guy being held down, and he's screaming, and in front of him is a pizza. And the text says, like, you know, this poor Italian was forced to watch people put pineapple on pizza, kind of thing. No one's doing that to you, so there's no reason for so much hate, passionate hate at that too, and to attack your fellow collectors. We're all doing the same thing. We're all still collecting the movie. He says, have your own thoughts and opinions, discuss them even, but don't waste energy trying to demean and insult other people from thinking differently. And I agree 100%. We shouldn't be stifling anybody's opinion or how they think that they should be collecting. But we can certainly do it in a respectful way. 4K Tent Revival, shout out to you, sir. Thank you for congratulating me. We crossed over the 2,000 subscribers mark earlier in the week. This video really helped throw over there. So all of you that are new subscribers, welcome to Blockbuster Box Sets. On this channel, I primarily just talk about the physical. Well, I mean, we talk about physical media. That's all we're talking about. We're not talking about politics and other weird crap like that. We're talking about physical media, our love for films, what's special to you about those films, the different versions that are out. Obviously, a lot of it also revolves around the packaging, the artwork, stuff like that. Because, you know, that's my take on it. That's my angle that I try to bring to the community. That's different from, you know, everybody else that's just rattling off what's coming out, or people doing in-depth side-by-side comparisons of the releases for the transfers and stuff like that. So I just wanted to, you know, this channel is just to be unique with that and give you a variety of on the topic of movies and physical media as a whole. If all you care about is just the film, there's no reason to have physical media at all. I would disagree with that. I see where they're going with that, of like, if you don't care about the packaging, then you should just go digital. And I think that's what they said. You can get a download of a movie with the same quality as a disc. Again, agree to disagree on that. We've seen time and time again that having the physical disc is a much higher quality. Even a Blu-ray is higher quality than some of the streaming services 4K as they were. So I would disagree with that and say that just because you don't care about the packaging doesn't mean that you shouldn't be collecting the physical copies of that. So here another one says, it's absolutely ridiculous and disgusting that people would take time out of their day to attack and call others foolish and stupid for having a passion for quality art and packaging. It makes no sense whatsoever. Again, we're advocating for stop the hate. All you're doing is showing how I'm not gonna read that part of it, because that itself is kind of an attack on those people, and I don't encourage that. Again, as I said in the beginning of this video, like don't bother. You're wasting your breath. Like, just know that they have a different opinion from you, and if they want to behave a certain way, that's their choice, but don't feed into it because that's how they get off. These choices we collectors make for ourselves don't affect your abilities to pay, your life, things in your life. The world in general has far more problems to worry about. I would agree. We are definitely arguing over first world problems with this. Another one says different strokes for different folks. That's how I live. They have their UHDs on a 60 terabyte hard drive, customizable animated artwork for each movie. That's really cool. He says my shelf is digital but not physical, but I absolutely love it. He says if I get bored of one set of artwork, I can change it, and therefore a lot of different pieces of art for each movie I own. Plus, it plays the music for the movie I'm looking at, along with little video snippets. I think that's fantastic, and that's I guess that would be a form kind of digital packaging. I know I'm sure there's some eye rolls on that one, but in a way, that's what it is. It's an extension, a little bit of this way, not necessarily from a packaging, but it is an extension that goes beyond the disc, beyond the movie, and you're getting more from that movie because of what it is that you're doing and how you're collecting that. And I think that's fantastic. I also think that's really freaking cool. So thanks for sharing that. Maybe you can hit me up and we can talk about that more, as far as like how you came about doing that, what it is that, like, how your setup is, how you have it laid out. I'd love to like see like a little short snippet video and stuff like that. So reach out to me on Instagram, and we'll talk. Hard agree. Obviously, what's on the disc matters 100%. But I honestly can't remember the last time I bought something solely because I wanted access to the film, and that's it. At that point, there's plenty of less cumbersome, cheaper options. And the natural conclusion of the mindset is not collecting physically at all. I would disagree with just because you don't like or don't care, you don't place value on the packaging that the movie comes in, doesn't mean that you should be booted out of the physical media community and that you're not allowed to connect and collect and you should just go digital. There are many other reasons why people collect physical media, and I think the biggest one is you own it. You can take it with you. You can take it over to Bobby's house, kind of thing. It can't be edited. It can't be changed. It can't be taken from you. Higher video and audio, stuff like that. There's a lot of benefits beyond packaging to collect the physical disc versus going exclusively digital just because you only care about the movie. So I would agree with that respectfully. So they go on to say, I've never once heard cover art doesn't matter, packaging, layout, design is irrelevant. When it comes to something like vinyl, which is just pricey and collector focused now, after so many years in those spaces, the whole vitriol from people who exclusively want to buy awful looking $5 standard editions with no special features seems very localized to movie communities. I don't think there's any way that we can actually like measure, unless we start taking a census of this. And I don't think there's any interest in people actually doing that. So there's a general and actively getting worse, it would seem, narcissism when it comes to the packaging debate, what labels announce for a given month, basically every facet of the hobby, just zero acknowledgement that anyone with a different thought process, taste, or standards than them could actually exist. I suppose it's expected, but super obnoxious. I would agree that especially with social media, all facets of the film and are talked about. They're explored. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I would argue that my number one complaint about the state of physical media right now is that we are getting a lot of regurgitated titles where like so-and-so puts out a version of The Keep, right? It has that run, and then another studio, it gets passed to them, and then they put their version out of The Keep, and so on and so forth. And there's also a problem where people are dogging one version Like, and I'm talking about like the transfer. I think like Inglourious Basterds is a perfect example of this. That film, the 4K transfer, it was put out by the studio. Everybody was dogging it. They said it was a piece of crap. And then I believe Arrow put it out. It was the exact same transfer. Everybody praised it. So, that transfer. So I think there is some studio like boutique label bias going on. People wanting to also there's the movie tubers that receive free product, and they emphasize why one version may be better than the other because of that, because they were given something free and they wish to continue to receive free things. And for any of those movie tubers out there, and this again, like, agree to disagree, any of those movie tubers out there that get free shit and are claiming that they're giving you the raw truth, versus like they're saying nice things about it or softening the bad things about it, claiming that like they would get sent that stuff even if they didn't, I call bullshit on that, because I can tell you just from me as a company, if I was putting something out and people were giving me crappy reviews of that of my product, I wouldn't continue to send them free stuff. Why would you do that, right? So that's my argument on that. For what they're talking about. This one got 30 replies. I think this was one of the early comments that I saw. I replied myself a couple times to this. Again, trying to have a good conversation, but like I said in my last video, sometimes you're just talking to a brick wall and it doesn't matter. But they lead off with expletive. They say I'm completely wrong in all caps. This is, I'm sorry, I'm going to steal this term from you. I'm running as far as this term will take me. But he says this fixation on shelf porn, started with, Acre Bay back in the early 2000s when physical media was still in its $10 billion heyday. You have no, expletive idea what you're talking about because you're barely even 30 and you weren't even in the hobby back in those days. First off, I would like to thank you so much for thinking that I look that young. Unfortunately, I am not. And I did reply with that of I am well over 40 years old, and I have been collecting physical media for a long time, sir. Long time. So I do, and being in part of the creation and making stuff and running, a business with that, I kind of do know how it works, and I do know what I'm talking about, and I try to stay in my little box of what it is that I know that I talk about. And when I start to wander out of that box, I try to lead with a comment of like, I'm not really sure, or I haven't done the research on blah blah blah, so you have that that heads up with that. But this is definitely a get off my lawn, old man, boomer kind of mentality that's going on with this person. I don't know who they are. It doesn't really matter. So they've expressed their opinion. And this is what I said. All you newer generation collectors are doing, all you're doing is inflating the cost of the hobby. I'm sorry, I hate to disagree with you, but as I showed in my video of the cost of physical media, streaming has taken over so much. It has shrunk the physical media market down to a fraction of what it used to be. So now you don't have, and that's really why all of these small boutique labels have cropped up, is because they are now filling the void of the studios when they left physical media, as it were, in general. These boutique labels are stepping in to try to service that market, because them being smaller, they can take on those projects one at a time, versus a studio, they're looking at of like, they have all of these specific things, these specific titles, and there's a great cost with restoring and then packaging and delivering to you, the consumer. The consumer itself is not inflating the cost of the hobby. There's several factors that are contributing to the increased cost of the hobby. The first one being that the less you make, the less you have produced, the more it costs per unit to produce. So that's one of the factors that is driving up costs, is that the cost to manufacture it is gone up. With inflation, the cost of production, and rights issues, prices are going up. Nothing's getting cheaper. So it's not us, the consumer, that's inflating that price. It's all of the things on the production side of it that are inflating those prices. But they go and say, if you want to buy art, go to a, again, expletive, art gallery. With that, why would I want to go to an art gallery when I can have that beautiful, amazing artwork and built into the packaging with the movie? Like, one of the, like I talked about earlier, one of the things it's a problem for all of us is shelf space. So if we're already talking about shelf space, keep in mind bookshelves take up wall space. So, I know a great many of us have, we put our, I don't personally, but like there are people that take their steel books and they display them on the wall. That's the way that they display that. So they're trying to get the artwork from the packaging itself, that, it's not just, box sets, stuff like that. There's so many different ways to display your collection and how and what it is that you're collecting. There's no wrong way, in my opinion. And I'm not going to read the rest of that because it's not actually a well thought out discussion. It's just an attack. Again, I appreciate you watching the video and engaging and helping the content get spread out to more people. From my last video alone, I've gotten over 40 new subscribers. So I want to thank each and every one of you that have contributed to that by hitting the like button, by sharing it, by subscribing. Welcome. And for those that are so triggered by this, it just cracks me up that you will sit and watch my whole video knowing that you don't like anything that I'm going to say. So, but I appreciate you taking time out of your day. Time is money, time is precious to us. And for you obviously value, my content, for you to sit there and watch a 30 to, an hour, 2 hour long video. So I appreciate that. But, I am totally stealing your shelf porn catchphrase there. Catchphrase. Just one of the, there's no better corn. I'll say corn. So there's no better corn than shelf corn. And the only thing I will say, I do have to call this out because if you step into the light and you want to make a comment, you got to be prepared for what you've said with that. So someone did point out to this person that didn't that person praise my Halloween box set and said you wanted my Nightmare on Elm Street one, obviously prior to the Warner Brother cease and desist. And they didn't take too kindly to that. They said there's always that one guy in the group who looks at previous comment history left on the channel to, I guess, be like the hall monitor, as it were. I'm paraphrasing on that. And they claimed that they knew that this person would eventually call them out for it. I would say that that, to me, meets the definition of hypocrite. So we will move on with that. This video is turning out to be a lot more entertaining for me than I thought it initially was going to be. And it's going to be a much longer video than I thought it was going to be. I may end up like splitting this up into two, but given that, it's going to be on Thanksgiving that I release this, you guys may be waiting on the turkey a long time. Maybe you just want to be entertained with that. So, so we'll move on. Next one is your presentation and appreciation for the artwork are commendable. This person is a standard edition collector themselves. However, they do have a special place in their heart for steelbooks. Thanks for the video. You are so very welcome. Thank you for watching. Thanks for thanks for joining in the conversation, and thank you for being respectful. You are always welcome at this channel. Please join us for the live streams. Be more, come on in. Like, just because I'm talking about packaging and stuff like that at times, which especially in the live streams, we go far beyond that. And typically, we're not even talking about that. Please join us. I'd love for you to join us and have more of a conversation. I would say over the comments that I've seen, the majority of them are people that agree with my take on it from that last video of why packaging matters. I wanted to make sure that I highlighted both sides of the conversation, and even if The some of the people from the other side choose to be disrespectful. So this person says, we consume with our eyes first. That's why food presentation is also so important. Anyone thinking differently is missing out. Space saving is a compromise. Don't fool yourself. I agree. Space saving is a necessity for anyone, not, I wouldn't say in a stately manner. That, you know, buying only bulkier limited editions costs way more to buy the same films. I would disagree with that, depending on what it is that we're talking about. Like, there's a lot of times that we will see these box sets go on really big, significant discounted sales. So I think it's more of a matter of timing. I think also it's a matter of what studio or boutique label put it out. Boutique labels in general don't discount as much as a studio will, because they can't. Their margin is already razor thin. So there's not a lot of space for them to discount it if something's not moving, or if it's a special time of year, like, you know, like Black Friday kind of thing, stuff like that. So sometimes it can be space saving, but I will concede, like, that in general, box sets are take up more space. Absolutely. And that's why I said, like, I don't advocate that every release that you get is this special limited edition deluxe box set kind of thing. As you saw in my previous video, I panned over and I showed you I have thousands of just standard edition stuff. Again, those are and some of them I will get to and shine up a little bit more, you know, but as a whole, like in general, that is how it's going to remain. They say we all see packaging first. Physical attraction starts with outer looks. Hopefully you're not blind. I would say if you're blind, you're probably not watching too many films. You're listening to them. In that case, packaging really doesn't matter, other than making sure you can read, like, the title with your fingers. You know, someone says I have OCD to the point where I had to get a separate black shelf exclusively for my black spine leather books, black second sight limited editions, and Screen Factory slipcovers. You may see the pattern all black. I need to have uniformity. I said I agree. Uniformity is very important to us collectors. Very important. Thank you for your comment. Thank you for contributing. Matt says, I've been creating custom steelbooks using a company that provides a service to create custom artwork stickers over here in the UK. It says, it's great to be able to create unique editions specifically for your own collection, which enhance your love of the film, franchise, etc. Great video. He says, thank you so much, Matt. I appreciate that. Thank you for watching all the way over in the UK. You know, please join us if you can. I know the time zone thing, but if you can, join us for the live streams, and we can continue our conversation with that. I always encourage people to express their creativity when it comes to their collection, making it unique. You know, for people, one of the arguments in the standard edition community is that, like, these companies that put out stuff, you know, they've made thousands of them, so they're sitting on thousands of shelves, so it's not special. And I would say you can make it special for yourself. Make your collection unique. Like, my collection is insanely unique, and I love it. And it, like I said, it goes beyond it. My first love of it is the film itself. That's where all the inspiration and the passion and the creativity comes from. It comes from my love of those films that has wanted me to continue expressing my love and through creativity for those films by giving them and elevating them to match my enthusiasm and how I feel how important those films are in my collection and in my life and what they mean to me. So that's where I really, really push for people to express their creativity and make their collections unique. You don't have to buy from me. You don't have to, buy from anybody. You can go and you can make these things yourselves. I do have a how-to video on the channel. I do sell the templates that are like super cheap. So if you didn't want to like get into making the boxes, I've eliminated an entry barrier because a lot of people don't make their own stuff for their collections because they don't know how to make the box. They don't know what's involved, or they don't have any confidence in their ability to make it to the level that they want it to be. So I have tried to remove as many of those entry barriers as I can so that you can express your creativity and let it run wild and make your collection unique and special to you. Another comment says, for sure it matters. I love some of my special edition sets. The Rocky set is really nice and given love by whoever produced the details. We buy that's what they're called, special editions, because they have something special about them, and we all we all want to feel special. So by having a special edition, it makes you feel as though you have something unique in your hands. Another person says, you're spot on, sir. I guess I'm old enough to him that I need to be called sir. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you for being respectful. While expressing your opinion. He says packaging matters a lot he's saying that packaging matters a lot to him. As I said, he says when he sees beautiful art and packaging for a film, it gets him more excited to pop the disc in and watch the movie. That is exactly one of the things that I was talking about in my last video. So he goes on to say, plus I feel the film is properly honored and treated with greater reverence when given something nice like a box set or a steelbook. He says, heck, even a very nice glossy slipcover elevates the packaging quite a little bit over just a standard case, which are often wrinkled or cracked and have smaller art. Agreed. I've never had, this is not to say that this doesn't exist, but I've never had a special edition or a box set where the case came like the plastic of that's holding, that's on the outside of the case. I've never had it like wrinkled or, definitely like some of the standard and it's only on the standard editions. Like you'll get it and it's all wrinkly and warped and stuff. With that, I guess my question would be thinking about it for the standard edition folks, for the respectful ones. When you get something from a studio that's the standard release, like let's say a naked 4K or Blu-ray case, and it has that problem, do you not care at all and you just put it on the shelf, or do you care enough that you either you take the slip out and get a new case, or what if you buy something used from like a Goodwill thrift store or something like that, and maybe the insert is like torn and tattered, or it has stickers all over it? Do you just put it on your shelf, or do you go and print out a new one that's like an exact, somebody scanned it and put it on the internet on some of these websites? Do you do that? I'd be interested to know from the standard edition folks of what you think about that. Another comment says, I will take boutique labels on my favorite titles any day of the week. Says, as long as they stick with the original movie poster. I am a stickler for original movie poster on all of my releases. That sounds like OCD. I even go to the extent that I will make a card up of the original movie poster. Okay, so he's kind of answering me on that, and put it in the case over the supplied artwork. If the original artwork is not supplied in that release, absolutely just like anything that is alternate artwork. Maybe one of these days I will separate my boutiques out of my general collection like I have, and they are in alphabetical order. The only thing I have separated are my standard DVDs, that which I couldn't find Blu-rays for. Very interesting. Yeah, a little bit OCD, which is okay. We all have it. Nothing wrong with that. Let's see. With that, the original movie poster art, I myself, in general, when it comes to the case, I do want the original poster art. That being said, sometimes the original poster art, depending on the film, and this typically falls into older films, lower budget films. Their poster art's really bad, and sometimes it needs a facelift. But I can appreciate and I completely understand your purity of how you want your collection to be displayed. Thank you for sharing. They also mentioned, it's funny, you mentioned CDs and packaging. When DVDs first came out, one of his friends bought an early player and can remember he picked up a couple of movies that were in CD cases. That's the way they first envisioned how this was going to be packaged, and they quickly switched and went to DVD cases, and I think that was because of identity purposes. Again, that would mean that packaging matters, because it differentiates this from something else, and that's what special editions and box sets and stuff like that do. They differentiate themselves as this is different from the standard. They also absolutely love what I said about movies that take us back to certain periods in our life. Certainly that is the case with him, and can base his collection on films that he remembers seeing on like HBO countless times back in the 80s. I still have all of my old HBO guides from 82 through 86. That's awesome. When we disbanded from HBO, I can remind myself what I haven't seen in a while, or is there even a DVD available? For instance, Columbia Pictures are terrible for hoarding their movies. There's no Blu-ray, or for certain titles they put on DVD, little to no 4K, and some of their films never even made it to DVD. This being the holidays, I wanted to get my hands on an old Dudley Moore film. There are only bootlegs available from VHS because they've never been put on DVD. Sony needs to take steps. They need to step up to the plate. I agree. We need more of these titles. We're running very fast into a significant amount of media being lost to time. There's a lot of titles that are still stuck on VHS. There are titles that are stuck on DVD that have been long out of print. They're not making it anymore. These studios, I know that they are, and the problem is they're not necessarily putting these on streaming. So it's truly becoming an increasing problem of lost media. And it's really only through people that, and their passion for the films, that go and scan their VHSs onto DVD and make it available for others, via the bootleg of it. But that's the only way. I would argue too, with this community, there are those that they like to cherry pick what they deem as appropriate bootleg, and then other things are shunned. Then there are just the people that are like totally anti bootleg, piracy. I think it has its place. I would point to like Star Wars. Without piracy / bootleggers, we would not have all of the various high quality videos of the original unaltered Star Wars trilogy. It was through passion of that film that they went back and preserved, and that's what they really became. They really preserved those films. And I've seen rumor, I watched a video from Harmy, who did the despecialized edition. He talked about it too. That was a great video. If you could see that he did a good spoof on the pitch meeting guy. It was really funny, in good taste. But there's a good chance that we may be getting the original unaltered theatrical presentations of the original Star Wars trilogy on 4K. If nothing else, I know they're going to release some version of Star Wars for its 50th anniversary in 2027. So that's it for the comments. Highlights from the comments section, when trolls attack. But I hope that you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Hopefully you've left room for some good desserts. Again, thank you all for watching the videos, subscribing to the channel. Please like, share, subscribe this video to help others find me. For the troll haters out there, I appreciate you watching these videos too. I commend your passion. I just wish that you could be a little bit more respectful with your disagreements. But anyway, happy Thanksgiving, everyone, and I will catch you guys next time.